The morning sun shone through the windows of the Sterling mansion, making the beautiful wood floors glow. The mansion was worth $21 million and was in the best part of Beverly Hills. Alex Grayson stood by the big window holding a glass of fresh orange juice against his head, watching the gardeners carefully take care of his prize-winning roses. At 43 years old, he had everything most people only dreamed of, and he knew it. He heard soft footsteps on the floor, flat, and turned around to see his wife, Elena Monroe, standing in the doorway of their bedroom. She was wearing a dark silk robe and had her hair wrapped in a scarf. Even without makeup, she looked stunning, her dark skin glowing. Her eyes, brown with golden specks, were as smart and strong as when he first met her 5 years ago at a real estate conference in Chicago. "You're up early," Elena said, walking over to him. Behind them, their degrees from Harvard and Yale were hanging on the wall, showing how successful they were together. They were called the perfect power couple, blending old money with modern success. Alex wrapped his arm around Elena and took in her familiar scent of cocoa butter and jasmine. "Big day ahead," he said. "The Thompson deal is finally closing." Elena smiled, but Alex noticed a small, nervous look in her eyes that he had never seen before. "Actually, I need to talk to you about something before you go to the office," she said. They sat down on their fancy Italian sofa, the one Elena had picked out to match the room's style. She was always right about those things. She helped turn Sterling real estate into a huge business empire, and her instincts were just as good in their personal life. "Alex," she started, holding his hands in hers, "I know we said we'd wait another year before trying for a baby, but I'm pregnant." The words hung in the air between them, heavy with meaning. Alex felt his heart skip a beat, then another. They had talked about having children before. It was the next step in their perfect plan. But now, hearing it, he felt a strange, cold feeling inside him. He smiled, forcing it. "That's wonderful, baby." The words felt strange, even as he said them. Elena didn't seem to notice his hesitation. She started talking about doctor's appointments and due dates, sounding excited. Her hand rested on her stomach, and Alex found himself staring at it, feeling a distance from the situation. The morning went on as usual. Elena did her yoga in their private gym, the chef made her favorite breakfast, and their housekeeper, Rosa, took care of her like a grandmother. But something felt different to Alex. His perfect life suddenly felt like a cage. Later, as he sat in the back of his Rolls-Royce, being driven to work, he looked at a picture from last night's charity gala on his phone. It showed him and Elena looking perfect. He in a fancy tuxedo, she in a beautiful dress. The caption said, "Power couple Alex and Elena Monroe donate $6 million to inner city education." The car stopped at a red light, and Alex saw a young couple walking across the street pushing a stroller. The woman was laughing with her partner, looking tired but happy. Alex felt panic rise inside him. Was that what his life was going to be like? Sleepless nights, diapers, and baby talk? Would people still take him seriously if he had to leave meetings for school plays? His phone buzzed with a text from Elena. "Made an appointment with Dr. Jonathanson for next week. Can't wait to hear our baby's heartbeat." Alex stared at the message, his finger hovering over the reply. The perfect husband would be excited. The perfect husband would already be planning for the baby. But Alex didn't feel like that. He didn't want to be a father, at least not yet. He wanted to run far away from everything that was starting to feel too much. The Rolls-Royce stopped at Sterling Tower, a tall building that touched the sky. As Alex got out, his secretary Sabrina hurried to meet him. She was young, blonde, and had a professional smile. "Congratulations are in order, Mr. Sterling," Sabrina said. "Mrs. Sterling just called to let us know about the baby." Alex paused for a moment, then smiled. It felt real this time, not forced. "Thank you, Sabrina. Let's focus on work for now." As they went up in the elevator, Alex felt the weight of his life pressing on him. Elena had helped him build his empire, and she deserved his happiness, excitement, and full commitment to their growing family. But instead, he couldn't stop thinking about his need to escape. Sabrina Kane understood the art of waiting. She was very patient, like a spider waiting for the right moment to catch its prey. She had studied Alex Grayson for months, learning his habits and weaknesses. She knew exactly when to make her move. On her first day at Sterling Real Estate, she had looked perfect in a cream-colored Chanel suit. She had no wedding ring, knowing that married men often liked women who were not tied down. Sabrina had heard about Alex's previous assistant, who had worked for him for 14 years. He has exacting standards, the HR director had warned her, but she was confident she could meet them. For the first month, Sabrina was the perfect assistant, always on time, anticipating his needs, managing his schedule, and listening. She listened when he complained about long meetings and charity events. Most importantly, she listened when he talked about his worries and the pressure he felt. When Elena's pregnancy news came out, Sabrina saw her chance. She noticed Alex's hands shaking when he read the news and the panic in his face when he thought no one was looking. Sabrina had seen this before. She knew when a man was going through a crisis. "You seem tense, Mr. Sterling," she said one evening, setting his tea down on his desk. "Is everything all right?" Alex looked up, tired and stressed. "Just business," he said, but Sabrina noticed the way he kept twisting his wedding ring on his finger. She understood. She casually mentioned how her father had acted the same way when her mother was pregnant with her, making Alex feel like she understood him. He started to open up to her, and that was the first crack in his perfect life. Over the next few weeks, Sabrina became his trusted friend. She was there when he needed to talk, always offering sympathy for his stress. When Elena was too sick to go out, Sabrina joined Alex for meetings and lunches. She wore perfume that reminded him of his carefree college days. One night, after they'd had a few drinks, Alex confessed his fears about becoming a father. "Children should be wanted by both parents," he said. The words hung in the air, and Sabrina knew this was her moment. Alex stared at her, really seeing her for the first time. Sabrina looked at Alex with a steady gaze, letting him see what she wanted him to see. She wanted him to feel excitement and freedom with no expectations. The first time their hands touched was by accident when she handed him a file. The first real kiss happened one night while they were working late, going over contracts. The city lights twinkled outside. Sabrina pulled away first, pretending to feel conflicted. "This is wrong," she whispered, her lips still close to his. "You're married, and you're going to be a father." But both of them knew it was too late. Alex had already fallen into her trap. As Alex focused more and more on preparing for the baby and his future with his wife Elena, Sabrina became everything his marriage wasn't: spontaneous, uncomplicated, and exciting. She never mentioned Elena's name, but she made sure Alex could feel the difference every day. While Elena was busy with healthy food and baby-proofing their home, Sabrina took Alex to secret jazz clubs and reminded him of the man he used to be. Sabrina noticed Alex starting to spend more time at the office, making excuses to be away longer. She saved their texts, kept track of their business dinners, and made sure she had evidence of their secret meetings. She knew this could be important later. As Elena's pregnancy moved forward, her happiness and success only grew. People at work were excited about the baby and the idea of the perfect couple. Sabrina saw this as the perfect time to act. One evening, with tears in her eyes, she told Alex, "Maybe we should end this. I can't bear to be your secret anymore. I'll resign tomorrow." Alex panicked, and within a day he started making plans to leave Elena, believing it was his own idea. Sabrina listened carefully, nodding as he convinced himself that leaving his wife was the kind thing to do. The night before the big company gala, Sabrina had her final piece of the plan. "If you're sure about us," she whispered, "prove it. No more hiding." At the gala, wearing an expensive red dress, Sabrina watched as Alex ruined his marriage in front of everyone. Elena, pregnant and heartbroken, left the ballroom. Sabrina smiled to herself. She had set the trap, and Alex had walked right into it. But what Alex didn't know was that Sabrina had already started looking at his bank accounts and planning her next move. Becoming the other woman was just the first step. The real prize would be becoming Mrs. Sterling and taking everything Elena had once had. The gala was the biggest social event of the year in Los Angeles. The grand ballroom sparkled with chandeliers and white orchids, and the guests were some of the city's most powerful and wealthy people. Elena stood in the hotel's VIP powder room, adjusting her gown. The midnight blue fabric flowed over her baby bump, looking elegant and sophisticated. She had spent extra time with her makeup artist to make sure she looked perfect for both the business event and the glamorous party. "You look amazing," her friend Sophia said, but Alina noticed the worried look in Sophia's eyes. Alina knew something was wrong. "Alex has been distant," she admitted. "Have you talked to him?" Sophia asked, but just then there was a knock at the door. "Mrs. Sterling, Mr. Sterling needs you. The speeches are about to begin." Elena took a deep breath, squaring her shoulders. She was ready to face the night, even if things weren't perfect at home. She smiled, though it didn't feel real. In the ballroom, Elena moved through the crowd, accepting compliments and congratulations. She spotted Alex at the main table. He looked confident, but there was something off about him. He had already had a few drinks, and his smile seemed forced. Sabrina was nearby, wearing a bold red dress, watching Alex closely. But Elena didn't pay much attention to her. She had more important things to focus on. The host of the event announced Alex as the man of the hour, and the crowd cheered as he stood up to speak. But something was wrong. Alex didn't stick to the speech they had prepared. His voice was slurred, and he started saying strange things. "Success comes at a price," Alex said, swaying slightly. "We all wear masks, don't we? Tonight, I'm taking mine off." The room went silent. Everyone stared at him, and Elena's heart sank. "My wife," Alex said, pointing at Elena. "My perfect wife. She's given me everything. But perfection is tiring. Sometimes a man needs more than perfection. He needs truth." Then Sabrina stepped forward. Her red dress stood out against the white orchids. Alex's face softened as he looked at her. "I found something real," he said, "something that isn't built on expectations and obligations." The room gasped. People pulled out their phones to record the scene. Alex looked directly at Elena. "Timing is funny," he said. "All those late nights at the office, all those business trips." Elena could feel her baby kick, a sharp reminder of the innocent life caught in the middle of all this. She stood up slowly, her hand resting protectively on her stomach. The room was so quiet that Elena could hear the ice melting in abandoned glasses. Alex kept talking, but Elena didn't listen. She stood up straight, her voice loud and clear. "You're drunk," she said, "and you're making a mistake you'll regret forever." Then she turned to Sabrina. "As for you, Miss Kane," Elena said, "I suggest you enjoy this moment. It will be the last time you're welcome in any boardroom in this city." With the same grace she used in business, Elena turned and walked away, leaving the ballroom filled with stunned silence. Elena walked toward the door, but her heel caught on the hem of her gown. She didn't fall, though, because she wasn't going to let anyone see her struggle. Behind her, there was a lot of noise. Sophia was yelling at Alex, the board members were talking quickly, and someone was crying, probably Alex's mom. The valet brought her car very quickly, probably because the whole scene had been shared on social media. As her driver opened the door, Elena let her hands shake for a moment. Her phone kept buzzing with messages from big news websites asking for a statement. She could already see the headlines, like "Sterling Empire Falls" and "CEO Humiliated in Public." But those things didn't matter to her. What mattered was the baby growing inside her, the company she helped build, and her dignity. Tomorrow, she would talk to her lawyers. Tomorrow, she would fight for what was hers. Tonight, as her car drove through Los Angeles, Elena allowed herself one moment of sadness for the life she thought she had and the man she thought she knew. Just then, her phone buzzed again. It was a message from Sophia. He fired everyone who walked out after you. Half the board is gone. He's lost his mind. Elena turned off her phone. In the quiet of the car, her baby kicked, stronger this time. She placed both hands on her stomach and whispered, "It's just you and me now, little one, and we're going to be amazing." Alex Grayson woke up with a terrible headache and found Sabrina Kane in his bed at the Peninsula Hotel. His phone showed 68 missed calls, 133 text messages, and many emails. The Wall Street Journal's headline shouted, "Sterling real estate falls. Stocks drop 31% after CEO's public meltdown." Alex groaned, pulling a pillow over his head. Sabrina, looking satisfied, stretched beside him. "That's the thing about scandals," she said, scrolling through her phone. "They don't go away. They just get bigger." By noon, Alex's problems were getting worse. Half of his board of directors quit, including his oldest friend, Thomas Chen. 3 big pension funds decided to stop working with his company, and a $600 million deal was dead. "Let them leave," Alex said, pouring himself a drink. "We'll build something new, that's something all mine." Sabrina, looking calm, added, "Of course we will, darling, but first you need to deal with your old problems." That's when Alex's lawyer, Jonathan Turner, arrived. "She's filing for divorce," Jonathan said without any greeting, "and it's bad. The prenup you bragged about is now useless because of the affair. Elena's lawyers are going for everything." Alex was shocked. "She can't do this. I built this company." Jonathan laughed, but it wasn't a happy laugh. "Alex, every big contract in the past 3 years had Elena's ideas. She's the one the banks like dealing with." Sabrina quickly said, "We'll fight it. Everyone loves a good courtroom drama." But Jonathan was worried. A courtroom drama where a rich man leaves his pregnant wife for his secretary? You'll be destroyed in the press. The next few days were filled with trying to fix things, but nothing helped. Alex moved Sabrina into his mansion, ignoring that Rosa, the housekeeper who'd worked for 14 years, quit immediately. Sabrina started changing everything in the house, throwing away Elena's things. The press camped outside their house, hoping for more drama. And they got it when Sabrina wore Elena's favorite necklace, a gift Alex had given Elena for their first anniversary. "You went through her jewelry?" Alex asked. "She left it behind," Sabrina said, "just like she left you." But when Alex walked into Elena's office a week later, he saw that everything was gone. All the files, contracts, and information she'd gathered over the years were missing. That hit him hard. More of Elena's clients left. Even the people Alex had worked with for years didn't want to work with him anymore. Meanwhile, Sabrina was spending a lot of money. She hired a personal stylist, ordered new cars, and started planning expensive changes to Alex's properties. "We need to look untouchable," she said, not worried about money. But Alex couldn't stop the problems. By the end of the month, Sterling real estate had lost 60% of its value. The new board, filled with people Sabrina had chosen, made desperate decisions. They fired longtime employees, sold off parts of the company for cheap, and took out loans with high interest rates. Alex drank a lot and didn't want to think about how bad things were. He fired anyone who mentioned Elena's name, surrounded himself with people who agreed with everything he said, and tried to pretend everything was fine. One night, Alex was scrolling through his phone and found Elena's social media. She was at a clean energy conference in Singapore, looking happy and glowing with her baby bump. The comments were harsh. "Karma is coming for Alex Grayson," "Elena's better off without him," and "Sterling real estate is finished." Alex threw his phone across the room, breaking both the phone and a picture of his father, who had started the company with strong values. Sabrina, wearing one of Elena's dresses, stood in the doorway, holding a glass of champagne. Throwing a tantrum, Daddy? She asked. Alex looked at her and finally saw who she really was, cold and calculating. What have I done? He whispered. Exactly what every powerful man does eventually, Sabrina replied. You've proven that you're just as weak as I thought. She left, and Alex was alone in the wreckage of his life. Somewhere, Elena was building a new life without him, and their child would grow up knowing that Alex had chosen pride and lust over love and family. Alex sat alone, finally understanding that he deserved everything he'd lost. He hadn't hit rock bottom when he lost his wife or his company. Rock bottom was when he realized he deserved to lose it all. At the hospital, Elena gave birth to her son, Ethan Grayson. But the birth made headlines for all the wrong reasons. While Elena was in labor for 26 hours, Alex was photographed getting on his private jet to the Maldives with Sabrina. Her picture in a bikini was all over TMZ. Sophia Lynn never left Elena's side after her water broke. While Elena lay in the hospital bed, Sophia handled everything, taking calls from worried board members, keeping visitors away, and staying calm even when things got hectic. She let Elena hold her hand as tightly as she needed, even when it hurt. Show them what you're made of, Sophia encouraged with a smile. At exactly 3:37 a.m. on a rainy Tuesday morning, Elena's baby boy, Ethan Grayson, was born. His first cry was so loud and strong it felt like the hospital walls shook. The nurses quickly cleaned him and handed him to Elena, who was exhausted but overjoyed. She looked down at her tiny son, marveling at his soft dark hair and perfect little features. Gently, she traced his nose with her finger and whispered, "He looks just like." Sophia quickly interrupted, shaking her head. "Don't give him that power," she said firmly. But even Sophia couldn't deny the truth. Ethan had inherited his father Alex Grayson's distinctive nose, his determined chin, and even the same cowlick in his hair. It was clear to anyone with eyes that Ethan was Alex's son, whether or not he deserved to be called his father. The news of Ethan's birth spread quickly. Photos of Elena holding her newborn son, with Sophia standing protectively beside her, appeared on the front pages of newspapers everywhere. People couldn't stop commenting about how much Ethan looked like Alex. "No DNA test needed," one person wrote online. "That's definitely Alex Grayson's kid." Others were less kind, criticizing Alex for not even being there for his son's birth. "Father of the year, missing his kid's birth for a beach vacation. Classy," another comment read. Meanwhile, Alex was far away, lounging on a sunny beach with his new assistant-turned-wife, Sabrina. When the photos of Ethan finally reached him, it felt like a punch to the gut. As he stared at the picture of his son, it was impossible to ignore the resemblance. Ethan was proof of the truth Alex had been avoiding. He had abandoned his family, and now he was the kind of man he'd always despised. The next 5 years told two very different stories. Elena, who decided to keep the Sterling name, was determined to rebuild her life. She started a company called Phoenix Global, specializing in helping other companies grow in a fair, ethical, and sustainable way. By the time Ethan turned 1, Elena's business was already making a big impact. She became a role model in the corporate world, and people admired her strength and determination. She often told reporters, "Success is the best revenge," and she lived by those words. At the same time, she made sure Ethan always came first. She brought him to meetings, read to him every night, and taught him important lessons about kindness and hard work. Ethan grew up to be a bright, curious, and confident little boy. He had his mother's intelligence and his father's natural charisma, a combination that made people adore him. CEOs would laugh at his jokes, and teachers would praise his quick thinking. Elena had done an incredible job raising him. On the other hand, Alex's life started falling apart. Sabrina's spending habits were out of control. She traveled everywhere with a large group of people, redecorated their homes constantly, and spent huge amounts of money as if Alex's fortune would never run out. "Image is everything," she would say, convincing Alex to host extravagant parties and fund her every whim. But while Sabrina was busy showing off, Alex's business was crumbling. Sterling Real Estate, once the crown jewel of Los Angeles development, became known for its problems. To save money, the company started using cheap materials and cutting corners, which led to safety issues and lawsuits. Families living in their properties found toxic materials, and the lawsuits kept piling up. Alex felt helpless as he watched the company his father had built fall apart. He started drinking more and more, drowning his guilt and regret in alcohol. Every so often, Alex would see pictures of Ethan in newspapers or online. He saw Ethan's first steps at a charity event, his first day of preschool as Elena held his hand, and even his birthday parties. Each photo felt like a dagger to his heart, a reminder of what he had thrown away. Ethan was growing up without him, and Alex couldn't escape the feeling that he was missing the most important moments of his son's life. Then came the final blow. One day, during a meeting with his accountant, Alex learned that Ethan's trust fund had been emptied. Shocked, Alex demanded an explanation. The accountant explained that Sabrina had tricked him into signing some papers, claiming it was for a real estate investment. In reality, she had been taking money for herself and hiding it in offshore accounts. Furious, Alex confronted Sabrina, and the argument ended with her throwing a crystal vase at his head. Laughing coldly, she told him, "You didn't really think I was in love with you, did you? You were just a rich, gullible man who was too scared to face his responsibilities." That night, she left him, taking most of his remaining possessions and dignity with her. By the 5th year of his self-imposed misery, Alex was a shadow of his former self. His once perfect suits no longer fit him. His hair had turned gray and his eyes looked tired and haunted. He rarely left his home, spending his days drinking and avoiding the world. One morning, he picked up a copy of the Wall Street Journal and saw Elena's face on the cover. The headline read, "Phoenix Rising: How Elena Monroe Changed the Business World." The article praised her innovative ideas and her ability to balance running a billion-dollar business with being a single mom. At the end of the article, there was a quote from Ethan, "My mommy fixes broken companies and helps people keep their jobs. She's a superhero." For the first time in years, Alex broke down and cried. He cried for everything he had lost: his family, his reputation, and his chance to be a father. He cried for the man he could have been, but wasn't. On Ethan's 5th birthday, Alex couldn't stay away. He parked his car across the street from the Natural History Museum where Ethan's party was being held. He wasn't invited, of course. Elena's lawyers had made sure of that with a restraining order after Alex had tried to visit Ethan while drunk the previous Christmas. But Alex couldn't help himself. He needed to see his son, even from a distance. The party was spectacular. Through the iron fence, Alex could see the museum's grand entrance decorated with dinosaur banners and balloons. Inside, there were activity stations where kids could learn about fossils and paleontology. Elena had planned everything perfectly, as always. The guests weren't just children and their parents. There were judges, tech billionaires, and even the mayor. It was clear that Elena had become the real star of the Sterling name. Then Alex saw Ethan. The boy ran outside in a little paleontologist outfit, complete with a helmet that was slightly too big for him. "Mommy, look! A real dinosaur!" he shouted excitedly. Alex gripped the fence, watching as Ethan pointed out dinosaur facts to his friends. Ethan was tall for his age, with Alex's height and Elena's graceful movements. He had her kind smile, the one that lit up any room. Elena appeared, looking beautiful and confident in a sage green dress. She knelt beside Ethan and whispered something to him. Alex could hear her gentle voice as she reminded Ethan to be kind and humble. "Remember, everyone has different circumstances, so we don't brag about our party. We just make sure everyone has fun and learns something cool." "That's my boy," Elena said proudly, fixing Ethan's helmet. Alex's chest ached as he realized how much his son had grown. Ethan didn't need him. He had Alina, who had done an amazing job raising him. Alex stayed for a long time, watching from the shadows. He saw Ethan happily leading his friends around, pointing out fossils and sharing facts with excitement. He saw Elena greeting guests with her natural grace, balancing her role as a mother and a leader effortlessly. Alex realized that Ethan was surrounded by people who truly cared about him, people who had earned the right to be in his life. As Alex drove away, he felt a deep, hollow ache in his chest. He had lost his chance to be a part of Ethan's life, and it was all his fault. His son was growing up happy and loved, but Alex could only watch from the outside, filled with regret for the life he could have had. Alex stood outside the museum, watching a party through the tall fence. Inside, a boy named Ethan was opening his birthday presents. Each gift seemed perfect for him: science kits, fun games, and books about dinosaurs and space. Ethan smiled brightly at every gift, thanking each person with the kind manners his mom, Alina, had taught him. A security guard noticed Alex standing there for too long. "Sir, do you need help? If not, you'll have to move along," he said. Alex stepped back, the heels of his fancy shoes scraping the sidewalk. He kept watching, feeling a deep sadness. Ethan was his son. But Alex wasn't with him at the party because of the mistakes he had made in the past. He had lost his family, his wife Elena and his son Ethan. Now, watching from outside the fence, he realized how much he had lost. Through the fence, he heard Ethan laughing with his friends. The boy was telling them about dinosaurs, explaining the difference between herbivores and carnivores. His little hands moved as he talked, and his face lit up with excitement. Ethan was growing into a smart, wonderful person. Elena had raised him so well, and Alex wasn't part of it. Tears blurred Alex's vision as he turned away. For years, he had blamed everyone else for his problems. He thought Alina had been too perfect. Sabrina, another woman he had been with, had tricked him, and his old co-workers had abandoned him. But now he understood the truth. He was the one who had messed up. He had thrown away a life filled with love and family for silly things that didn't matter. He had chosen fun over responsibility, and now he had nothing. As he walked back to his car, he heard Ethan's voice one last time. "Mommy, did you know T-Rex families stayed together their whole lives? They protected each other." That simple sentence hit Alex like a lightning bolt. Even dinosaurs, the fiercest creatures, took care of their families. But Alex hadn't done that. He had failed to protect and love his own. Sitting in his car, Alex felt something new. For the first time, he didn't just feel sorry for himself. He felt a burning desire to change, to become a better man. He wanted to prove that he could be someone Ethan could look up to, even if it took years. Alex decided to fix his life. He sent Sabrina away and stopped drinking. He worked hard to become a better person. At first, Elena didn't trust him, and she made it clear that he had to prove himself. She had every right to feel that way. Slowly, Alex started making amends. He apologized for the things he had done wrong. He stayed sober, and month after month, he showed Elena he was serious about changing. Eventually, she let him see Ethan for short visits. It wasn't easy. When Alex visited, Ethan was quiet and distant. He smiled sometimes, but it was a careful smile, not the big, happy smile Alex remembered. Each visit felt heavy, as if the weight of Alex's mistakes was sitting in the room. But Alex didn't give up. He showed up every time, stayed sober, and paid attention to Ethan. After a while, Elena noticed. One day, after a Little League baseball game, Ethan hugged his dad without being asked. Alex's hands shook as he hugged his son back, tears in his eyes. Elena saw this and decided to let Alex take Ethan to baseball practices. Over time, Alex and Ethan started to rebuild their bond. Alex learned how to be a good dad. He went to parent-teacher conferences, helped with the doctor appointments, and worked with Elena without arguing. He realized that being a good parent meant putting Ethan first, even when it was hard. When Ethan turned 13, he asked about the past. "Dad, what really happened? Why weren't you there before?" Alex decided to be honest. At dinner, he explained, I made bad choices. I drank too much and hurt the people I loved. I had to stop drinking and work hard to become someone who deserved to be trusted again. Ethan listened quietly, pushing French fries around on his plate. Finally, he said, Mom says you're not the same person anymore. She's right, Alex said. Your mom is amazing. She took care of you when I couldn't. I'll always be grateful to her for that. As Ethan grew up, Alex became a steady presence in his life. When Ethan faced tough times, Alex shared what he had learned from his own struggles. Rock bottom feels like the end, he told his son, but it's also where you can start climbing back up. When Ethan was 15, Elena married a kind man named Liam Porter. Liam Porter loved soccer and made Elena laugh like she hadn't in years. At Ethan's high school graduation, Alex sat in the audience with Elena, Liam Porter, and Ethan, feeling proud of the family they had built together. Years later, when Ethan had children, they called Alex Grandpa and Elena Grandma. No one needed to explain their unusual family. The past hadn't been erased, but it had been turned into something beautiful. A family held together by forgiveness, understanding, and love. Alex never remarried, but he found a new purpose. He started a recovery program at the community center, helping others fight their own battles. Sometimes he looked at old photos of Ethan as a little boy. Instead of feeling regret, he felt gratitude. Alex had learned a powerful lesson. Love isn't about owning or controlling people. It's about being present, patient, and persistent. And in the end, that lesson was the greatest gift of all. Thank you for watching. If you like this story and want to see more, please subscribe to our channel. That way you won't miss any new videos. Give us a thumbs up if you enjoyed it, and share what you think in the comments. We love hearing your thoughts. Also, don't forget to check out the other videos on our channel. We'll see you in the next story.